Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. Calcio is not back. Pain is back. They need to change the advertising that Luca Toni, Fabio Capello, Fabio Cannavaro made a couple years ago. Calcio is back. Calcio is not back. We are in deep, deep shit. And that was, Dom is here to cover it with me. That was one of the most embarrassing games I've ever watched as a national team fan of the Azzurri. Dom, talk to me, man, because I'm just disgusted, to be honest. I'm really, really disgusted.
Man, this was painful. This is up there with that Italy-Sweden of a few years ago,
Oh,
with that Italy-Macedonia. Why is it that we can't express any quality with these players? I mean, I get it. We don't have Mbappe, we don't have a Harry Kane, but these players, man, they are better than what we've seen today. What is going on with this team? Hey guys,
is
by the way.
let's speak about that. It's embarrassing and as like disgusting the players have been. As you said, they're not. This is not the worst team in the tournament. This is not. Euro 2016 team was worse than this, in my opinion, right? The
Yeah.
Conte's team was way worse than this. So the question is, and I'll put it straight in the chat as well. Let me see how the poll is doing for that. Should Spalletti be sacked, bro? Because this is on the manager, man. This is like embarrassingly bad.
This is
Embarrassingly bad.
100% on the manager, man. I mean, you look at the games that we had before the Euro started, the ones that we played in the States. He had a back three. We were playing a 3-4-1-2. If you look at the games that we had in the Euro qualifiers, we had Raspadori as our number nine. And then we get to the major tournament and we're chopping and changing all the time. And you could argue whether Scamacca or Retegui or Raspadori should be number nine, but based on your preferences. But I think a national team coach has to be consistent because these players are not training every day. You have these small nuggets of time in between the season where these guys are playing together, and you just got to be consistent. You got to choose your best 11, not during the tournament, but in the
Mm.
qualifiers, and then just stick to it. Just stick to it because consistency will definitely pay dividends over chopping and changing, even if you feel that Scamacca or Reteg is better than Raspadu. And like you just have to be consistent. Bonaventura, I don't think he's a great player, but he scored in the games leading up to or in the final games of the qualifiers. You have to call him up. You have to be consistent with your choices. You have to call on players that have a feeling with the national team. You definitely can't go and bring on guys that haven't done anything with the team, such as Scamacca. Scamacca, look, he can be a great player, but he hasn't shown that with this team. So,
More
yeah, it's on
tattoos than touches,
Spalletti.
I think, this tournament, Skamaka. More tattoos than shots.
Yeah,
Embarrassing.
and he's a frustrating kind of player because he's got the potential if he realizes that it's almost as if he doesn't realize the tournament that he's in, man. Like
Yeah.
he's playing these little, especially I think against Croatia. He came on, was playing all these little flicks, thinking he's Ibrahimovic. It's like, man, like you cannot play touches that is 50% good and 50% bad. You have to try to keep the ball with the team. You have to be a bit more consistent than that. You're not playing for Atalanta against Monza, man. You're playing in a European championship. The team needs you to keep the ball. You got to be more clinical than that. And
Yeah. Today, the
yeah,
one chance he had, and he hit it against the post, the main big chance that could have given us a lifeline.
yeah, yeah. And going back to Spalletti, man, I mean, one thing is the selection process, right, of the
Mhm.
players that you brought onto the Euros. Another thing then is also, okay, when you brought these players, what are you going to do with them, right? And Zaccagni was riding the wave of
Yeah. Yeah.
enthusiasm against after that goal against Croatia. And then what do? You drop him
Hmm.
for El Sharawi. I mean, man,
Yeah, that was crazy.
what?
Like, it's like the one player in form, and then it's El Sharawi in 2024. Like, this guy is like, I haven't heard of this guy since like 2012, and you bring him out. So it was great. And then he takes him off at half time. It's like, so he kind of admitted his mistake pretty much straight away, right?
At least he took him off at halftime and wasn't, stuck with. At least we didn't get stuck with the Sharawi for 90 minutes, right? At least he
Yeah.
recognized his mistake. And the only positive thing I can say about Spalletti in this tournament is that he's made changes at halftime. So at least he realized his mistakes. But yeah, questions, man, over Spalletti. This is nothing like what we saw with Napoli last year. Well, now 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like a different team from the one in the qualifiers as well. There was key players, man, in the qualifiers that just I don't know, man. Just felt like it was the first time they were playing together this
Yeah,
time.
that's the
Very
thing.
strange.
That's the thing. Like Switzerland, man for man, like which Switzerland outside of like Xhaka and Akanji, which Switzerland player are you taking in this Italy team? I'm not taking anyone outside of Xhaka and Akanji in this team. Like all
Yeah,
of these guys.
maybe Freuler, but I
Yeah,
mean,
over
we're talking
Cristante,
about
I'll take Freuler over Cristante. Yeah, I'll take
yeah,
anyone over
no,
Cristante.
but we're talking about a team though that they might not have the best individuals, but this is the Switzerland 11, right? This is a
Mhm.
team that will play consistently together with each other. They know exactly what the coach wants from them. They've been with this coach for a long time. They've gone through a process. Italy, man, what's going on? And if there's anything that needs changing now with this Italy team is Spalletti more than the players, because Spalletti is the one that messed this up big time. I think
Mhm.
for me, I
Yeah,
mean,
and the poll at the moment, Dom, is saying in my chat it's 79% or 78 now percent with 56 votes now in total to get Spalletti out, and 21% saying no, let him stay to the World Cup. Where are you
okay,
if
let's
you
do
had to
some
take this poll?
let's do some reasoning here. Why would we want to keep Spalletti after this? Like,
Yeah,
let's get people in the chat that have voted to keep Spalletti. Like, what have you seen in these 4 matches? Because I haven't seen anything from
nothing.
Spalletti, and
I
I'm a
I
big
going
fan,
into
guys.
this
Like, you can
tournament.
see it. Like,
Yeah. This is why I invited Dom, because I wanted to get like I was envisioning like something positive when I invited Dom. But now I want to ask you, Dom, like the Di Lorenzo, like let's get that out. That's the Di Lorenzo. I said he shouldn't even be called up. I was that against the Di Lorenzo that he shouldn't
yeah.
even be called up. You as a Napoli fan, tell us how much of a bad season Di Lorenzo had just at Napoli, and he's your captain. Tell us.
Hey guys, Di Lorenzo, he is the captain of Napoli and the leader of such a bad season. He's not just a member of this bad season.
Mm,
He's the one that led us down this bad season. I mean, that's how bad he's been, right? I mean, leaders, they are so influential in a football team, and when a team has been playing as bad as Napoli, the first finger pointing goes to the leader of that team, and you wonder whether he deserves that call up. Spalletti, in his second press conference, or like before Spain, he or maybe after Spain, he was asked about the whole
yeah.
Di Lorenzo situation, and he said, "How could I not play Di Lorenzo? He's like a son to me." Man, what do you mean? Well, like
Yeah.
that for me deserves a sacking. Just that
Yeah.
quote. You cannot play favorites in an international tournament like this.
Hmm.
He's a son to you, fine. Invite him over for Christmas, man. I don't care. But we're talking about something bigger than your relationship with Di Lorenzo. We're talking about a European championship where you're the title holders. I don't remember any other uh, coach playing favorites like this. And when they have done that, it's gone bad for them. I remember Lippi doing that in what was it, 2010, when he called up
Yeah.
the same 2006
Yeah,
players.
yeah. He's
And
that
this
was
never
just
goes well.
yeah, just it's very Italian thing, right? Like this sticking with the same like old guard. Like Mancini did the same thing, like won the Euros, and then you could see that these guys like you need to like freshen up, but no, he called up the same guys, the same exact squad again, and then yeah, we didn't make the World Cup. So it's the same
And then you
mistakes.
have other teams like, I mean, I'm looking at like Argentina who are playing the Copa America. I'm looking at France who have reached the final of the World Cup, and they're changing their players, right?
Mhm.
They are bringing in the youth. They are letting go of some of their older guard. They don't play these kind of favorites, and like you can see that it's paying dividends. Speaking about the youth, man, we have a team that last year, last summer, the under 20 reached the final of the World Cup in the under 20, an under 21 team that either won or reached the final of the Euros, an under 17 team that has done, they're too young, obviously. But I mean, then you see guys like Spain, right? Who
Mhm.
have put in Nico Williams and Yamin Lamal inside that team as starters, give them confidence to do what they do. And then us, we have the man of the tournament of the last under 20 World Cup, Casade, never even called up by Italy.
Yeah.
And look, I don't understand. If you don't have that progression in from under 20 and under 21 into the first team, then what's the point of the under 20 and under 21?
Yeah, but I think that's an issue at club level too. Like it's been going on for a long time. You know, you got there's just no progression for these guys. Like they, as you said, like yeah, these under 17s just won. Was it the Euros or the World Cup? And like we just know, like you're not gonna see these guys for like years now. It's
Yeah.
gonna be no, there's no pathway. There's nothing. Like we know this deep rooted
And,
issue.
and there are some of those guys that have been playing, however, in first team football. I'm thinking of guys like that Roma number 10, Baldanzi.
Hmm.
No?
Yeah,
Baldanzi was a great player for that Italy team. Didn't get never called up for Italy, never given a chance. And this team needs a number 10, man, someone in between the lines. Like we needed Baldanzi in this team because there was no one to receive the ball from the midfielders. It was always played in towards Scamacca, who was trying his best to hold it up, but that's not enough. Sometimes you need a bit of a like a Dybala in there, in the
yeah,
middle, a bit of creativity because we were way too predictable, man, way too
yeah.
predictable.
The most frustrating thing, Dom, is like we went down. But there was no fight. Like I didn't have any. Did you have any belief that this team was coming back? Like there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. Like
Zero.
there was no fight. There was no grinta. There was. I didn't see anything. I think I wouldn't be against sacking Spalletti, but what I'm saying is that I don't think he's got the team on his side, Modom. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think this
Yeah.
team either likes him or fights for him because I haven't seen like anything. I didn't see no patterns of play. I didn't see no style of play. As you said, no, the formation we changed like 15 different times. Like it's just a shit show all around. I
We
just think
played 4 games and we conceded first in all 4 games.
you're right.
And against
Yeah.
Albania after 20 seconds. This time in the second half against Switzerland after 20 seconds. So that's something that means that whatever's happening in that changing room, Spalletti is not giving off the right energy to these players, the right grinta to these players, because it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense that you step onto the field and you concede after 20 seconds.
Yeah. And he
It really
tried,
doesn't make sense.
in the build up to the tournament. Remember, though, he tried to do all these like quirky little things of like we're all number 10s. If you guys don't know, he like gave
Yeah.
everyone the number 10 shirt, and he called up Roberto Baggio, some like other guys from like past Italian teams to try inspire. He banned or like the weird PlayStation ban. Like he tried to do all these things that were like weird, quirky. That we kind of like, we like. I mean, I like Spalletti. I know you like Spalletti. So we're like in the build of, oh yeah, typical Spalletti, quirky, eccentric. But it didn't work. Whatever he was trying to get these out of these guys, it didn't work clearly.
No, and he was saying in the press conference before the game, like, we're here at Berlin, the stadium that we won the 2006 World Cup. We had Gigi tell us on the bus about the history and about these stories. And we want to beat Switzerland because they knocked us out of the World Cup and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, maybe he's relying a little bit too much on these things, and maybe that can play against you because then the players are not dumb, right? The players are thinking, man, why is he doing all this? Does he not believe that like the tactics that we have is good? Does he not believe that the technique that I have is not good enough, that I need Buffon to tell me about 2006 to kind of get me to do that extra 5%. Like, we shouldn't be relying on these quirks. We should be relying on our tactics, on our technique, on our team spirit. There's something wrong. And the whole PlayStation thing, man, I know it's like, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
But at the
yeah.
same time, Scamacca scored 15 goals in the last 3 months. Okay, I'm sure he played PlayStation at 3 a.m. scoring. Like when he's at home, he didn't have Spalletti telling him what to do and what not to do. So why all of a sudden you come to the Euros and Spalletti needs to be a dictator? Just let the man breathe. Just let the man do what works for him, right? I mean, I don't know. I feel like these players shouldn't be told what to do and what not to do in their private lives. You know, you don't like Scamacca playing PlayStation, then don't bring him. But don't make him. I mean, like don't get him upset, right? Like there's no point in having Scamacca upset.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the weird things of the tournament. But then the other thing mentioning like guys like Scamacca who came into this tournament on fire, as you said. It's almost like Spalletti got the fire extinguisher on some of these guys, like, you know, guys from Inter, Di Marco, Bastoni, Barella. Like, maybe I think Bastoni we can say, maybe Barella wasn't good today, but Di Marco was like atrocious. Like, it seemed like even the good players weren't very good. Like, it's almost like, you know, a coach should be maximizing. So if you got the average players, maximizing them, and then obviously emphasizing the best players even more. But he made the best players worse, and then the average players remained average or got even worse. So that's
I mean, look, we had one thing going for us in Italy coming into the tournament. It was the block of Inter players, and Scamacca on form. Those are the two things you got to try to optimize. You got to try to bring this Italy team as close as possible to the way Inter plays.
3-5-2.
As much as Juventini and Roma fans and all this are, you know, happy about the fact that all these Inter players didn't perform and all that. Like, man, we needed these Inter players. That's the only thing that was going for Italy at the moment. What are you going to do? Rely on Roma players?
Yeah.
You got to put these Inter players in their natural positions. You got to put Bastoni where Bastoni plays. You got to put Di Marco in that same. You got to talk to them and say, how does Inzaghi do it? Okay, great. Let's take notes on that and let's try to integrate that into this Italy team.
Yeah, and then
that's what's always, man. I'm a Napoli fan. I hate Juve, but I'm sorry to say, the best Italy teams, they took the Juve block. And they made it work. Mancini took Bonucci, Chiellini, Chiesa, and he made that thing work. You know, he played to their strength. And Italy's always been a team that took whatever Serie A team was better in that year, took that team, made a block out of them, and had the whole other players revolve around that block.
Yeah.
Spalletti didn't do that. Spalletti dismantled the Inter block, put them all in weird positions. Bastoni as a right center back. Man,
like today Darmian is a left back. Like, what the hell is that all about? And then, you know, and then in pre-match he said Barella's going to play Regista, but then we saw actually it was Fagioli playing Regista. And Fagioli, this was a weird call. I thought actually, I mean, he made some mistakes, but I thought he was actually pretty positive, Fagioli. What did you make of Fagioli?
I thought he was positive against Croatia. I thought he came on, gave a little bit something different compared to Jorginho.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened to him today, because today he was poor. I mean, you tweeted it as well. That loss of possession as soon as the game started, that then caused the second Switzerland goal. Right?
that was the encapsulation of Italy at these Euros, wasn't it? That kickoff. It was like, wow, crazy.
Yeah, there was, and I don't like Cristante in the middle of the park.
What an oath! What a fucking oath, that guy! Like, off the ball, on the ball. Like, what is this guy's like purpose in life? I just don't understand why managers like him so much.
No, and I don't know either. The one thing that I don't really understand about Spalletti, man, of his not so much team selection, but who he brought on. I mean, he brought a ton of defenders, man, that didn't touch the field. Bellanova,
Yeah.
Gatti, Buongiorno, and
So that points to the fact that he was looking to play originally playing three at the back, right? The fact that he brought so many centre backs and
I
defenders.
think what that shows is that he didn't know what he needed. Like
Hmm.
he didn't know if he needed to have a team that played 5-3-4-7 at the back. So he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring all of them, right? But what this team really needed, and Spalletti said it himself in the post-match, is players that can beat the man, players that have a bit of creativity. But it's like, man, then that in that case, don't bring Gatti and bring Baldanzi into the team.
Or
Bring
Solini, or like
Orsolini.
any someone
Bring
with pace, anyone.
bring someone with pace because man, like what are you gonna do with seven center backs?
Literally. Has he spoken yet today, by the way? Because I want,
Yes, yes. He
I
said
want him to apologize to the whole nation.
that Switzerland was more fresh, that this is what happens
Oh,
after a long season. Switzerland had four players from the Serie A that played the exact same number of games as the Italy players. And by the way, Italian sides, right? They didn't play any more games than the
yeah.
English, than the French, than the Spanish.
You had Granit
So
Xhaka
it
that
was,
played like three competitions all the way up until the end of them because they were up for a treble for Leverkusen. Akanji played how many games for Man City? Like, it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
No, no. Yeah, because I remember his comments after Spain. It's like he was talking about freshness in the legs, or like he was saying. It's hard to translate in English what he was saying, but
yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe
He was,
the preparation was completely wrong, clearly, because these players, like today, Dom, I know it was hot in Berlin. I think it was 30 degrees out there, but it was the same degrees for Switzerland. But they look like so much fitter than this Italian team, didn't they?
yeah, and and sometimes you have to adapt as well to those conditions. Like I hate the excuse of coaches that use the weather. No,
Yeah.
okay, fine. Let's say it's 40 degrees outside. Then fine. Then don't press. Then have a plan B. Where if you know that this team is not able to press for 90 minutes because it's 40 degrees outside, then you got to have a plan B. You got to have a
Mhm.
plan B that works, right? I mean, just saying, okay, well, the weather, man, like, what you're gonna be defeated by the goddamn weather. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Like you as a coach need to take all the elements into account. You need to take into account the weather, the opponent, the this, the that, and then you gotta have different plans and you gotta make it work. But you can't just say, no, the weather, man. Did you see the sun? How are we supposed to win? Come on.
Mazzari level.
Yeah, man. Like you can't do that as a coach. As a coach, you gotta factor that in. You gotta, and you know that you're playing. I mean, even even before today, you know that this tournament is happening between June and July,
Hmm.
right? And so the weather is something that you've got to consider. It's not a surprise that it's 35 degrees out there. You know that from I can tell you that in 2 years' time it's going to be again 35 degrees out there. So if you don't think that you have the players that can do that kind of pressing in that weather, then change your players.
Hmm.
Bring on guys like Foloruncio that maybe have a bit more leg in them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, instead of
Like,
Cristante, someone like Fratesio Floruncio, because yeah, as you said, like if you want to press, then you need presses.
yeah. I mean, you know you're going to be playing a summer tournament. Then bring on guys that have the legs to play a summer tournament. It's different playing in June and July than it is in February.
Yeah.
Then, man, you got to adapt. This is not
Yeah.
about just picking your best 23. It's about picking the best 23 for these conditions, for a tournament condition. Foloruncio, we talked about it in our preview. He's a guy that knows how to shoot from distance. I wanted to see him today because guess what? We were not getting the ball anywhere in the
No.
box. So at that point, why are you bringing on Cambiaso and Pellegrini? Man, just bring on Foloruncio. Let him take 5 shots. One of them's going to hit the target, and who knows? But
Yeah.
you've got to adapt to what you're seeing on the field, to all these things. And Spalletti showed today that he didn't read, or he showed in all the tournament that he wasn't able to read the situation very well.
Yeah, he was
And he
just
wasn't able to
stubborn.
inspire these players, man.
Yeah, no, he was no inspiration. But I also don't want to let the players off the hook here, Dom, because there was just nothing. Like, show some pride. Like, you're wearing the Italian national team shirt.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Spalletti got the tactics wrong, substitutions wrong, selection wrong. I agree. But Dom, some of these guys like Scamacca, one ball stuck to him the whole game. He was completely dominated. Chiesa, yes, okay, he runs around, tries to do something, but runs into
Chiesa,
corners.
unfortunately, man, he was put down. He was put on the right. It's not the
Yeah,
favorite wing. So every time, his game is to cut inside, right? So then he was cutting inside. Unfortunately, then it's on his left foot, and the quality of his crosses at his left foot can only be so high, right?
yeah,
So that's where you needed a guy like Orsolini. Like, okay, you want to put Zaccagni and Sharawi and all these guys on the left, fine. Then on the right, you
yeah.
need
One
Orsolini
left. We
or
just need a one
Politano.
left-footed guy.
We don't have a fucking left footer, man. I mean, I don't like, look, I don't think Politano is good. Okay, I see him every week. Okay, but at the same time, Politano's left foot is
Yeah,
better
yeah.
than Chiesa's left foot. And if
I
you're gonna have
agree. I
Chiesa cut
agree.
inside
We
with
just
his
need
left foot, then
one.
you might as well put Politano.
Yeah. I agree. Even if it was Politano, I mean, it should have been Orsolini, but even if it was Politano, one left footer just to give you the angle was needed.
So, we're talking about the ability to build a team and to predict these kind of scenarios. And Spalletti showed that, he wasn't able. And I think people forget the fact that with Napoli, okay, that Napoli team that won the Scudetto was pretty much built already.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that many players came into this team when Spalletti was manager. These were all players that were there already. Osimhen was there already. Kvara was brought in. Spalletti didn't know who Kvara was. Spalletti didn't choose
Yeah.
Kvara.
Mm-hmm.
Spalletti didn't know who Kim was, But the rest of the squad, your Lobotkas, your this and that, they were already there. Di Lorenzo, Meret, Mario Rui. These were all players that were already there. So Spalletti has never proven that he's able to select players.
It's different,
He
yeah.
was
It's
able
different.
to work with the players that he had, but he's not a selector of players. He's not a coach that says, I want this guy, I want that guy, and he
Talent
builds
ID,
a
yeah.
team. So I think what a national team needs is someone that knows how to select players. That's what you are. You're a selector of players.
Yeah.
And Spalletti has never been a selector of players. And the time that he's had to then do it, he's messed it up. He's selected the wrong players.
Yeah. I do want to give quickly some credit to Switzerland as well, though, Dom. On the other side, a coach, Murat Yakin, who has very, very well drilled team, right? Like, this team knows exactly what to do off the ball, on the ball. They dominated us. They had different options, different style, different patterns of play. I mean, look, they're playing
Different style,
Abisha.
man. Different style. Against Germany, they show that they can play on the counter. Against Italy, they dominated the midfield. This is a team that can adapt to their opponents. It's a team that if they need to sit back and counter, they'll do it. If they need to take control of the game, they'll go and do it. What a team. So congrats to Switzerland, guys.
Yeah, congrats to Switzerland. And I think, very likely that they face England. England obviously have to. Maybe England might be the other badly coached team in this tournament. Southgate and Spalletti might be just as bad as each other. But
imagine that this Italy against that England. What a horrible
what a
game.
shit show of a game.
And then the winner against Netherlands, another horribly coached team.
Yeah, I mean, that's an indictment on this whole tournament now when you think about it. A lot of badly coached teams. But that brings me to a point, Dom. We're talking about, maybe sacking Spalletti. If we talk about available managers out there, now listen to me. His name has been made. Forget about Don Carlo. People are mentioning Ancelotti. He's not going to come. He's not going to leave Real Madrid to coach this shit show.
Why not? In 2 years' time?
Massimiliano Allegri. But at international level, jihad ball, terrorist ball works. Didier Deschamps, Italy themselves, in the Euros at some point needed to do it. At international level, it does work. He knows his formation, he knows his players. What do you think Massimiliano Allegri is available?
Wow, man. I mean, I get where you're going with this. I get the angle. I get the angle that, he's someone that's pragmatic. He's results orientated. And when you're playing 7 games in a tournament, that's kind of what you need, right?
Yeah,
To some
he's going to
extent,
look at it just as, game by game. Every game is a final cup, coach.
yeah.
What are you telling me? What are you
And
telling
to
me?
be honest, his style would adapt to our players because we don't have these guys that like to dribble and play offensive football. So you might as well then go all out with your terrorism ball, right?
Yeah.
Look, I would say that actually it probably suits Italy more than Spalletti. Um, but I would I would love to see Don Carlo. Look, he was very close to joining Brazil.
Yeah,
Rumors
that's right.
were that he was supposed to leave Real Madrid this year to join Brazil and lead them over the next 2 years to then the World Cup. Don Carlo, man, your
Yeah, I mean,
nation needs you.
he's tailor made for a national
Your
team.
nation needs you.
Yeah,
And who more than Don Carlo is a selector? Like Don Carlo selects players, man. I
yeah,
mean, he's not a coach.
and he's the
Whenever
ultimate
he's
top
had
coach.
to coach teams, he's never really done that well. But whenever he's just had to pick players, put them in their right position, make them feel comfortable, that's when he's shines. So yeah.
Yeah, and he's the same age as Spalletti, actually, Ancelotti. I thought he was actually older. They're both 65 years old. So, yeah, Don Carlo, please come and save your country.
What
We
do you
need
think,
you.
man, about Allegri?
I would, yeah. I can see people are crying in the chat because he comes with a reputation. He comes with, I know,
Some comments.
the style of play.
Let's put some comments on there on the screen.
Let me find one. Yeah, you guys are smoking weed. Would be better off having me. And Mattia calls him Al Allegri, obviously, a point to the terrorism. Some of the Zizou, what's he doing out there these days?
Yeah.
A Frenchman
Look,
coaching an Italian
one
team.
of the Shams. Hear me out. Hear me out, guys. Shams, we know, at least I think it's his last major tournament with Zizou coming to replace Deschamps after that. I mean, Zizou's been on the sidelines for a coaching job because of this. I think Deschamps could be someone that Italy should really look into. Been there, done that on an international level. He's not a club coach. Let the guy cook with Italy for a little bit. And look, I know we're very proud to have Italian coaches being with the national team and all that, but at some point you got to think like, okay, we've screwed it up now 4 or 5 times. Maybe it's time to look abroad.
Yeah, I don't, but they won't do it. They'll always go for Italian. Another guy who's
Yeah.
available out there, I don't want him, but Sarri, I think another guy who wouldn't be suited to
It's the
international
same as
football.
Spalletti.
Yeah.
Sarri's the kind of coach that he's a club coach. He needs a few months with the team, and Sarri, he's very polarizing as well.
Oh yeah. He moans, he bitches, he needs like 2 or 3 months with the team,
Yeah,
like working for his tactics.
yeah.
Like he's not suited. And another guy that I know like people like to mention is Gasperini, but again, I don't really see his style being suitable.
But
Like I feel like
that could be cool, Gasperini.
it would be cool. It would be. I think
Pioli's available.
Pioli is on fire. Well, actually, Pioli is he's another guy who's kind of like he's not obsessed with like systems and style. Like, but yeah, he does always play 4-2-3-1 pretty much, or 4-3-3.
I think
don't know.
overall though, man, like the problem here is also a bit deeper than that. It's Gravina as well at the top of Fiji. He's got to go, man. like missing out on the World Cup, getting eliminated on the round of 16 of the Euros. He's got to go. Like the whole Italian system needs to change, and there needs to be a pathway for the young players that we have to come into this team because man, I see a lot more talent in Casadei than Cristante. You know, and this is a guy,
Yeah.
Casadei, that proved
Well, Casadei,
I
bro. Like
don't
I
even
know, like
he's
you like him,
able.
but he didn't even start here for Leicester. Like they sent him back to Chelsea. Like the guy does. You got to play at least for your club to get a call up. Like
That's true.
you know, yeah. But like, oh, what about bringing out Ranieri out of retirement? Poor guy.
Ooh, Ranieri is actually a very good shout. You know why? You know why? Because he's proven that he can come mid-season into a club. Look,
Mhm.
he got Cagliari into the playoff last season when Cagliari was mid-table in Serie B.
Oh,
He
really?
turned
Wow.
that team around, okay? In very little time, managed to give them an identity. They're hard to beat, and I mean the quality of Cagliari was what it was, right? But he's got that green that like I don't know, man. Like I don't know what Inter did this year against Cagliari, but when Napoli played, I mean, they were hard to beat, and they never died. They scored on the 93rd minute against us. This is the type of coach that you would fight for. Like I would fight for Ranieri. You know, he's like he reminds me of my grandpa. You know, like I would I give it all for Ranieri. You know,
No, no.
like uh, so yeah, maybe it's the right coach for Italy, and he very clearly said in his statement that he's retiring from club football. He didn't say I'm
Ooh.
retiring. He said I'm retiring from club football.
Hmm. Yeah, well, some people are saying, the people that are saying that maybe Spalletti didn't have enough time. We know, like, yeah, definitely he didn't have a lot of time to put this team together and coach, but we haven't seen nothing defensive dynamo. Like, we saw, like, Spalletti didn't give us even like a crumb of like something to build. Like, one thing I said, I was like, I don't know what your expectations. I can't remember what you said. I think you said quarterfinals as well, Dom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But we said like build to the World Cup 2026. Like this team, you got a lot of 24, 25, 26 years old. We can build towards that World Cup in 2 years. But he's given us nothing to build towards that. That's why
yeah.
we're even talking about the sacking, because it's like, what are we building towards?
And look, I saw this Italy team live against Ukraine back in November. That team was better than this one. Like we've regressed. So
Yeah.
Spalletti, after 2 months with this team, was starting to give an identity, and then I don't know what happened, but he started chopping and changing, and and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, look, you played the entire knockout rounds of the qualifiers with Raspadori as your number 9, with Fratesi in the midfield. Again, we talk about that intergroup of players, that
Mm.
are off the back of a Scudetto. You have to keep that up, whether you like it or not. Like, even if you think Rascamarca or Retegui are better than Raspadori as a number 9, you just have to start to be a bit more consistent. And if Raspadori's played 5 games in that position, then you got to keep him there for the tournament. And then at most you change it afterwards, in the next round of qualifiers for the World Cup. But I don't know. I think he was not very clear with what he wanted from himself and from
Yeah.
this team. Yeah.
Yeah. No, a lot of confusion in this whole tournament. Um, yeah, Dom,
Do
I
you
don't
think we
think
deserve to make it here? Do you think so? Like a lot of people are saying, did we even deserve to make it out of the group? Um,
I think
it's
so,
a
because
tough one.
Croatia, at the same side, Croatia were pretty poor as well. Like, they got smashed 3-0 by Spain. They drew against Albania. Like, at least we beat Albania. I think like we deserve to get this far, but it's not hard in this tournament. It's like even if you get third, you go through in this tournament. So it's not that big of a achievement to
Yeah,
get through. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, what a disappointing year of football for me, huh? With
Oh yeah.
Napoli and then this, and it's funny, man. I spent the entire year kind of thinking like, oh, I wish I had Spalletti. I wish I had Spalletti. And then, you get Spalletti and it's like,
What a thump this is to his reputation, by the way. Like,
oof.
he's like slowly, been grinding all his career and finally had that peak with Napoli, and now he's like wildly respected. And now that national team job, that's what it does to you. Because Ventura, I know a lot of people like to clown Ventura, but Ventura he did a great job with Torino for many years before he got that job, and then now he's like the most hated man in Italy.
Yeah.
I hope it's not going to be the same for Spalletti.
Yeah. It's a job that really, it's tough, man. Like Lippi as well. Look, Lippi has a great career, won the World Cup, and then there's still that little bit of a sour taste from that 2010.
Yeah.
No, Mancini as well. Guys, Mancini won the Serie A, the Prem. Uh, Great player. Like people also forget about the playing days of these guys. But Mancini won a Serie A with Sampdoria as a
Yeah.
player. Do you understand what that means to do
Mhm.
that? Uh, Wins a Euro with a team that was nowhere near top five,
Mhm.
and like we chewed him up and spat him out within like a year after that, basically.
Well,
Um,
speaking of Mancini, is he still in the Saudi Arabia job, or what's he doing these days?
yeah, he's getting criticized by the Saudis. So no, but look, Mancini, I think it was right for him to go because I think the team had lost enthusiasm. But I think the problem is that we tried to think that, or we thought that just changing the coach was enough, right? But I think when a team loses enthusiasm, you then have to change the players as well. And there's too many players that maybe don't have the motivation anymore to be in this national team. And there was some choices that Spalletti made, which I think were questionable, which didn't help create a group cohesion. For example, Fagioli. I can understand how maybe a lot of players, even in the squad, were looking at him and being like, "Sorry, this."
Yeah,
Like
especially
I worked
over
my ass
Locatelli.
off this year to be here, and
Mhm.
this.
Yeah, exactly. Over Locatelli, who I know hasn't had a good season at Juve, but I would always take Locatelli.
Yeah. Or also Di Lorenzo. Like Di Lorenzo had a very bad year, and
Yeah.
fine, you want to bring him in the squad, fine. But to see him start, I mean, you as a player that are playing alongside him, you think, why, why is he playing? Like these players have those kind of thoughts.
Of course.
They know who's been playing well and who's not been playing well in the season, and it definitely doesn't help team cohesion when the coach is playing favorites. Who's
I don't
that?
know if you guys can see, it's Matteo Politano's story with a shrug emoji. I
Yeah,
don't know if this is real, by the way. Let me see. Let me check on Instagram. Keep talking. I'll check.
but Politano, for example, he's been Napoli's best player this season.
Oh yeah,
Look,
it's real. It's real.
We finished 10th, but we would have finished like 15th without Politano. And you guys maybe that haven't followed him very closely, like, come on, Politano. Look, Politano, when he decides that he can play, then he gives you some solutions that this team currently didn't have, like a
Mhm.
left foot. And between him and Orsolini, I would always take Politano just because of the extra experience. Look, Orsolini, I don't think he's a player for these type of levels, for this type of tournament.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I just meant it like, yeah, just straight up, stats. And yeah, left foot. That was literally the reason. But
yeah, but I
anyone.
would have taken Baldan. Look, if I had to make a team, I would have taken Baldanzi, he's left-footed, no?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, but yeah, some of the selections there, I don't think it helped the bonding of this group. And I think in these kind of tournaments, what really makes a difference is whether there's a group that's bonded or not. Like we can talk all day long about tactics and
Yeah,
this
yeah.
and that and freshness, but in the end, the 2006 team, the 2021 team, there was a bond between them. Like in 2021, man, even after the first game, they were singing on the bus. They had that like the song that they were singing.
Insigne was the glue.
Insigne, Immobile, Verratti, like they people underestimate. But the fact that they were such good friends, Insigne, Verratti, Immobile, like that brought everybody kind of also closer, like in the end you gotta be a group of friends to win these tournaments. That France
even
that won the
all
World
the
Cup,
clips you see of this Italy team, there was never like I never seen anything come out of like great camaraderie or like great
no chemistry.
yeah.
Even on Instagram, all the reels, they look dead, man. Like this team looked like they had no enthusiasm, even when they were playing the little games. But then you look at the Argentina team from the World Cup last year, they would have died for Messi. They were a group that was not a group, but an army for Messi. That World Cup of France, they were a squad. They had that chemistry, and there's a reason why I think these teams win, and it's not just talent. It's group, and this team did not have that.
No. But now we gotta move on, Dom. At least we don't have to suffer for too long. The club season will be upon us. Maybe in a month and a half or so's time. Is that how long is left? Well, Serie A starts. No, actually starts.
Oh yeah, Conte ball. Let's go.
Conte ball for you, and Inzaghi ball returns for us.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this year because it's always nice to have a guy like Conte come back to the Serie A. I think regardless of who you support, he brings a little something.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the press conference. I watched all of it, like 1 hour 30. I watched every single minute of that press conference. That's what Conte does. So it's going to be very interesting Serie A season ahead. So at least we've got that to look forward to, guys. Sorry that you had to wait through 47 minutes of complaining and crying, but that's what Italy does to you. This performance was absolutely atrocious.
Question before we log off. Do you think the Switzerland team can go far?
Yeah, as I said, I mean, even if it is England next up for them, if England beats Slovakia, which they need to do, I think they can. I think they can be England, and then I think this side of the bracket is the easier one.
I'm seeing an Austria-Switzerland semi-final. I'm seeing an Austria-Switzerland semi-final with Austria. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Austria though. Austria, another team that's very well coached. There you see, Ralf Rangnick. I don't think he's been with the team that long as well with Austria, but look how well coached they are.
No, they have an identity. Rangnick knows what he wants from them, and they have intensity, which you need in these tournaments because, look, you're not going to be able to coach all the little passages of play, but if you have intensity, that can at least, help you out with the pressing and all that, and we don't have any of that intensity in this team.
Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, who are you predicting to win it? I think my original prediction was Portugal.
I'm predicting Austria to win the Euros.
Ooh, nice. Spicy little
I think
story.
Look, I think it's going to be this right-hand side is going to be kind of like I predict Switzerland to beat England, and England's going to struggle against Slovakia. Switzerland going to beat England, and then I see Austria going all the way, man. They look intense, organized at the back. Yeah, and I don't think that they're better than the other teams on the left, but I just feel like imagine you're a Portugal or a Spain or a France, like you would have gone through so much to get to the final that I think you get to the final dead.
That's
a good point. Nothing. And then I feel like Austria is just going to be like just chilling, no pressure, like even Spain, they're a great team, but they have to go and they have to beat Germany or Portugal. I don't remember how it is on that side, but they have potentially 3 tough games leading up to the final.
No, I like it. I like the Austria shout. I like that. I like the little underdog story. So I hope that happens. I hope that happens. As you said, yeah. No other teams really that impressive. Like, what's the score? Like, Germany and Denmark are playing on the other side. It's still 0-0. Like, Germany have been impressive, but like, there's nothing crazy. Maybe Spain have been the most impressive team. So
Yeah.
it's up
And
for grabs.
Spain, to be honest, we don't know their defense if it's gonna hold up. Like
Yeah.
we haven't tested it.
Yeah.
So and Austria, let's not forget, they pushed us to extra time in the Euros. So
Yeah.
they were very well capable of maybe, getting the better of us, and maybe they would have reached the final even 3 years ago. Who knows? Like I think we are sleeping on that team.
Yeah. Well, remember, it was Arnautovic scored, and it was like offside by like that much that we would have been out that game otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows, man? They could have made the final and then
Mm.
but they've
Yeah.
been building. They've been building this
Mm.
Austria team.
Yeah, but thank you, Anthony, for coming through. I'm sure you'll be reacting to this shit show as well. So let me know when you go live. And thank you, everyone that's came through. Oh, look, we've got old Haro Sonero in the house as well, who was supposed to come, but he preferred drowning his sorrows with alcohol, I think. But yeah, thank you for coming through, Don. Let the people know where they can find you.
Guys, if you want to know about Napoli, then smash that subscribe button on Napoli Talk. And thank you guys for joining us for this live. I hope you guys can enjoy the rest of your weekend, regardless of this result.
Yeah. It's going to be hard, but I hope you guys can do it. But yeah, make sure you check out Dom and follow Conte Ball for this rest of the season. It's going to be entertaining. De Laurentiis and Conte and all that stuff. Definitely, it's going to be a fun season. But that's it from us. Unfortunately, Italy's route to the Euros is over. But maybe I'll probably continue making some content on the Euros. I'll see how I feel. So keep a lookout on the channel. Ciao ragazzi. Whatever, regardless of everything, Forza Azzurri.